Welcome in, everybody, to another week of Buccaneer Insider. My name is Killian McClatchy, Nicholas Case, and we have been informed by the math wizard here right next to me. Week number 6. So
that's the word from the earpiece.
Okay, I was to say, I feel like the math wasn't coming from you in your head. I feel like somebody had to have been helping you out with that one.
Not a bit, not me.
But 6 weeks. Happy Thursday, everybody! Welcome back in, and we've got an awesome show this week. Really is, and got 2 guests. First off, we're going to start off with the newest face, the newest member of the Buccaneer family, head baseball coach Marc MacMillan. He was brought on board a little over 2 weeks ago, officially hired, and we had a great conversation with him. A little bit of a longer one, but I think it's well worth the listen. Got a great insight on just him and his mindset behind baseball, and just got to get to know him a little bit more.
Yeah, the important thing is we got to know his personality a bit too, and you could see as it went on how he loosened up a bit and got friendly, and pointed out how awesome my room is compared to your Capitals room is, and he phenomenal conversation. It is a bit longer, but it's worth every little bit of conversation, especially since this is the first real introduction of him, not just the coaching philosophy, but him. It's worth your time to listen.
Yeah, it was great getting to talk to and getting to know Coach Mac. Look forward to actually getting to meet him in person when that time does come. And then our second interview is actually the man who ended up officially hiring him, the athletic director, Jeff Barber, and we got to talk to him a little bit about Coach Mac and what went into that hire and kind of the process, but then also just the overall, the look of what college sports and sports in general are going to look like coming out of all of this.
Yeah, and he's looking at it pretty neutral, but from a neutral standpoint, it's a rosy picture at the moment. And that's, I think, the best thing that you can take away from a conversation like that. Now, stay tuned to get the full details. Don't just because I say that think you can skip it. No. You got to watch.
Yeah, make sure you stick around. He is the second half of the interview, and like we mentioned, a little bit of a longer one this week. But before we get to Coach Mac, we can't forget our presenting sponsor, East Bay Deli. Big thanks to them. Don't forget, they're doing dine-in takeout. You can carry it out and order online through them. So big thanks to them, East Bay Deli. And without further ado, it's one of your first looks as a fan for the new head baseball coach, Marc MacMillan. Hey there, welcome in. We've got our first guest for this week's episode of Buccaneer Insider. It's the newest member of the Buccaneer family, CSU baseball coach Marc MacMillan. And welcome in, Coach. I hear that you like to go by Coach Mac.
That's correct. Yeah, it's just a lot easier to say than Coach MacMillan, I suppose. And usually, have a lot of M's to write, so just stick with Mac. So that'll be fine.
I go by Nick because it's a lot easier than saying Nicholas. So if I'm Nicholas, I'm getting an award or in trouble. So I understand.
I got you.
Well, my name's Killian McClatchy, obviously Nicholas Case. And it's a pleasure to finally actually get a chance to kind of see you face-to-face a little bit. And, the whole premise of the show, we just kind of checking in with everybody. And really, we wanted to get to know you a little bit more. So, I mean, how have you been? How are you doing? I know that one of the big things coming up in your life, you and your wife are expecting your second child here in just pretty much any time soon, right?
We are doing well. I appreciate you asking. But we have we got a 2-year-old son, and then we're expecting child number 2 really any day within the next 2 weeks. She's at a checkup, as a matter of fact, right now. If they said, hey, we're going to maybe induce a little bit sooner, I'm sure she would be fine with that. But I can tell you, we are anxious to get there. We really are, and looking forward to getting to know everybody, but also to get to see Charleston a little bit more. When I came on my visit, Jeff was tremendous. He showed me around, but it's really it's been very comical in the sense that all the text messages, and we received a number, and they were heartfelt, and you could tell everybody's excitement. But everybody was at the end. They said, "Charleston's great. We'll come visit you." I mean, it was amazing how many people just think so much of the city. So, but I appreciate it.
You coached in the SEC for a while. Another SEC coach is coaching here in Charleston. Do you have a prior relationship with Chad Holbrook?
I don't, other than just being in opposing dugouts. And I mean, I'm very familiar with Chad, but we don't have a personal relationship. But it's one that I look forward to getting to know him and know him better.
And so, kind of getting into it and coming through, especially the last couple months, have really been, crazy, and especially the last few weeks for you, going from the cancellation of the college baseball season and having to handle that with your team and your staff there at Ole Miss, and then being kind of thrust into this job interview process and ultimately getting the job here at CSU. How has it been for you?
Busy, I would say, first and foremost, but it's just been a transition. When I was with Ole Miss, I remember when the news came down, that the pandemic was basically in place, and the NBA was making the decisions they were. We were coming back from Louisiana Monroe. We were actually on the bus, and we kind of started hearing about it. And within the next 48 hours, we had 4 different meetings with our team. And eventually the last one was, you had to tell them, hey, you need to go home, and we are basically, canceled. And so, but once this opportunity came and it was officially handed over and accepted, Jimmy Ballinger, who's at Florida State, he texted me, and I thought it was comical. I did not really think of it at the time he said it, but he goes, he said, "You're the busiest college baseball coach in the country right now." And I chuckled. I was like, "Oh, it didn't even cross my mind," but he's, maybe so. But it's been a welcome change with great support from the coaching staff here at Ole Miss, and obviously Jeff and everyone there at CSU. So it's just been fun. We just take it day by day, try not to get too far ahead of ourselves, just be where our feet are. And, if we don't get to something today, we'll attack it tomorrow.
When you came for a visit, what was your first impression of campus?
Spread out, a little bit more spread out than I thought it would be. I didn't realize maybe there was as much land that the campus sat on. And then, I love the closeness of it. I came from originally, before I went to Ole Miss, I was at Pine Bluff in Arkansas. And, just a close-knit campus, like the student size. But I loved when I walked up to the baseball complex. I mean, it just opened my eyes immediately, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we can do something special here."
Yeah, not for nothing, but I think it's probably the best college baseball complex in the city. And I'm not saying that because I work at CSU, but dealing with the Citadel, dealing with CFC, I really think that CSU has the best setup for college baseball, with the Singleton Center and the new weight room, and then it's a nice stadium.
It is. It's got eye appeal, and I think that's something that you look for. And as Jeff was driving me back towards, well, honestly, I'm sorry, I don't know what direction I was going. I was going to say maybe I was going north, but I really don't know. But as we went to the back part of campus, he made the comment, and the baseball complex is behind the trees. Well, as soon as you walk up, and yes, you're just like, man, this is a great place to come watch college baseball. You can pack people in there. I think it's a place we can bring potential student athletes and just walk them up to it, and it'll pique their interest. And so that was very encouraging for me. And then just overall what it has, it's just, again, it's got appeal, and I like that. That's what we need.
I will tell you, the sunsets behind the third base line can be phenomenal.
Is that right?
It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
For the first baseman, it might not be as fun, but for just sitting back watching it, it's nice.
It's good. It's good. I heard about the rocking chairs, right? Bring the rocking chairs out. That was,
yeah.
I thought that was really neat, and something unique to the complex. And during my time at Ole Miss, we had the student section in right field. That was kind of unique. So I'm anxious to see that, and then talk to Barkley a little bit, and he talked about how he loves to come out to the baseball games. And, it was just I just love the fact that everybody seemed like it was a place that they just wanted to come and sit and enjoy a baseball game, and that's what we want.
And going a little bit about the city of Charleston, I mean, we could give you glowing reviews on it, all day long. Had you ever been to Charleston before this?
I have not. So this is the first. So it'll be a brand new experience for our family. And, but again, one that, we're looking forward to. My wife did not get to visit when I came on my, I guess, in-person interview. And she's lived in Pine Bluff. She's lived in Oxford, which is beautiful. But, she likes the big city. So, I don't think she'll have any problems transitioning in that regard. So she's thrilled to take on this new adventure and this new experience.
Well, I'm married. We're probably closer in age than you and Killian. I've been here since 1996. Please, any questions, feel free to ask. I'll be happy to tell you about anything you want to know. I'm a foodie. So, anything like that you want to know, please reach out. I'll be happy to. And Killian can pass it along.
Well, I hear it's got every type of food you would want, and all of it's terrific. And so I'm looking forward to diving into some of that, but not too much. I gotta be able to move around the field a little bit and keep these guys, keep their energy level up.
Yeah, do as I say, not as I do, as you have more barbecue and expand out, right?
That's right.
Well, I mean, I know one thing, kind of focusing on your overall career a little bit, and you've gotten to know and meet some pretty big names all around the college baseball world, and looking through, pretty much everybody's had phenomenal things to say about you. And is there anything that you kind of plan to bring that you've learned from any of these coaches to CSU to kind of bring to your own program?
Well, certainly. I mean, I tell people all the time, don't be a know-it-all, and be a sponge and listen and learn. And all those individuals provided me with my philosophy in terms of what I'd like to bring to CSU. Probably no more than Mike Bianco. Just being with him for the past 7 seasons. And the system that he runs there. But each of them have had a significant impact, whether it's been from a motivational standpoint, in terms of, gosh, I want to do that. I want to be a college coach. I want to be a Division I head coach, or if it's an implementation of something that you want to put in your system. And so, the key now is just making it our own, trying not to make it somebody else's, but wouldn't be where I am today without, all of those that I mentioned. And I don't want to really do that at this time because I don't want to forget somebody. But no doubt, I mean, they have had a huge impact and significance on where I am today and the things that we will implement during our time at CSU.
And what was it? Something, I mean, we probably should touch on the start, but really, what was it about CSU that kind of drew you here to the Low Country about this job?
I think it was the relationship and the similar mission that President Costin and AD Barber we had, and that is we want a faith-based program that really focuses on player development, but not just on the field, but beyond baseball. And then we want to win, with consistency. And so, when you kind of have this common mission, this common vision, it makes it a place that, you want to come work. And so that was really it. I wanted to be a head coach, Division I head coach, but I'm not one that just applies for positions just to apply. It's got to be something that, I say this a lot, it's got to be a place that I want to wear on my chest. And, that mission, that vision, that's easy for me to wear across my chest and go out there daily and represent it and embrace it and try to make it a reality.
I was gonna say, and then another one, and something we checked out your opening press conference with CSU, and really the ultimate goal, and one word that really stuck out was Omaha. And I know that it is so much easier said than done, especially in the world of college baseball now. But you've been a part of an Ole Miss program, that you've been there before. You know what it takes. And what do you think that you and your program needs to do to help get to the pinnacle of college baseball?
Well, you just got to get better. It's hard. It's not easy anywhere. It's a tough sport to play. Because it really is a game of failure. So how do we create this elite mindset of playing the game one pitch at a time, or in the present moment? Not focusing on what happened in the past. There's a selflessness that comes with it. Can we get guys to push past their individual accomplishments or their failures, and just focus on, how we score a run, or how do we get the out, whatever it may be. Can we continue the development side? In 2014, when I was at Ole Miss, and, we went to the College World Series, there were a number of players there at that time that were still kind of working through that development phase, all of it, from the development to the elite mindset, to being in the present moment. There were a lot of question marks, but they figured it out, and I kind of said this to someone earlier in the week. They ended up having stars, but they didn't know they were stars at the time. And, it's something that was very similar to this year's group that we had at Ole Miss. It was eerie, just a bunch of guys that were just continuing to get better and better. I think it's easy to sit there and say, yes, you have to be talented. You do. But you don't have to be in a Power 5 conference. We've seen that with Coastal Carolina. We saw the Citadel do it back in the 90s, Kent State, you name it. It's just a matter of, in my opinion, can you get players to play at their best every day? And it's not easy, but you can. But you got to teach them how to do it, and you teach them through practice. You teach them through their mindset, through motivation. And I know this is a long answer, but I think all those are key to taking that step. And again, stressing that it's just not easy. It's tough, and so you really have to have an elite mindset to push through some of those things as the year goes on.
What kind of team do you hope to build?
A team that wins with consistency. I mean, that's an easy answer, right? But, one that plays with great energy, one that, the fans enjoy coming out and seeing their enjoyment in playing the game. It's a combination of a number of things when it comes to the offensive side. I have my philosophy with that, and it's one I'll take that we used at Ole Miss, and it's creating lineups that are made up of what we call runners, hitters, ball players, and bombers. Which there's a lot of different things that tie into those particular categories, but we want to be aggressive on the base pass. We want to be able to put the ball over the fence, because I think you still need to be able to do that in this day and age. We want to have some grit about us. We've got to be, I call it, being a champion. You got to have the toughness to embrace adversity. I want our fans to be able to see that. It's a number of things, but at the end of the day, I want fans to look out there and say, man, they play hard. They play with great energy, and they look like they're having fun. And if they can do that, then they're probably going to end up performing at a high level, which for them is just being at their best. And then the next thing you know, fans are kind of getting into it, and more fans are showing up because they enjoy it. And then you got a pretty good squad that people want to be a part of.
And speaking of the squad, obviously new coach coming in, brand new players, and none of you ever met before, and obviously not being able to in person, but through Zoom and such. How's the interaction been so far with the players for you?
It's been good. It's been I'll say scheduled, because you kind of have to schedule it out. There's different ways we've tried to attack them. Once the official announcement was made, we had my wife and I had shot a video here at our rental in Oxford and sent it to the returning players. And then we had a Zoom meeting with them the next day. So, we kind of wanted them to see who their new coach was, I guess, but then meet with them the next day, give them an idea of the type of culture and the goals that we're trying to obtain. And then met with them again later in the week so we could address some questions they may have, but then also I wanted to open it up for engagement. So, I just had some questions that I had written down, and I just kind of went through the roster and just wrote some names down because that way I could pick them out ahead of time and just ask them to, either define a word or give me a description of something just to get them talking. And I love that part of it. And then, we'll meet this week, I believe on Thursday, to kind of, set them up for what we need them to do or, what we would recommend they do in the summer. And then we've done the same thing with commits. So again, it's been very similar, a lot of just scheduling things out, but it all has a purpose. It's all planned ahead of time, and it's been good. I've enjoyed seeing them. Give you a funny story. So I'm big on, I want to know when their birthdays are. I think it's important. I think people like to be told happy birthday. Maybe not when we get older. I don't know. I'm not sure about that, but I think it's important for the players to know. And so Alex had his, so the first day that I spoke with him on Zoom, it was Alex's birthday. I didn't know that. I didn't realize it till Sunday, the next day. So I did make a comment to him, and I said, I'm glad to see Alex, is excited to meet his new coach today. He showed up with no shirt on. He's outside. He's having fun. It was funny. But so I found out it was his birthday. So I went to text him happy birthday. And it just so happened that the number that I used was his mother's. So I actually texted his mother happy birthday, and then it went on to Alex, and it was good. And I just said, hey, just got to embrace it. I made a mistake, but that was a good introduction to meet his mother. But it's been good. I've enjoyed it. I realized that they didn't choose me. I realized that, but I chose them. So I'm excited to get around them and just help them be at their best.
No, it's a weird time, so things are a little bit different. Have you talked to any of these seniors that might be coming back to see if they're returning or moved on, or have you just kind of left it up to them for now?
I am, I'm not really trying to talk them into coming back. It's just having a conversation. It's baseball, and then this is a very short period of their life that they should enjoy. When you look at eternity, and you look at this time we get on life, it's probably thinner than a sliver of hair on our head. And then you take these years that they can play baseball, it's smaller than that. And so, I just want them, if they want to be a part of it, if they want to maybe challenge themselves a little bit, then that's wonderful. If they don't, who am I here to judge? Man, I'm not here to do that. And so I just want them to, whatever decision they make, just be all in and do it. If you want to be a Buccaneer, be all in and let's do it. If you want to go somewhere else, be all in and go for it full steam ahead. So that's just kind of my feeling. It is. It's difficult times. It's tough times. I don't need to put any additional burdens on them. That's not it. And that's, again, they didn't choose me. I chose them, and I don't have any hard feelings.
So you mentioned that you got a chance to have a conversation with Barclay Radebaugh, the head basketball coach. Have you been able to talk to any other coaches? One in particular that kind of wanted to bring up with you, Autry Denson, the head football coach. Have you gotten to talk to him at all yet, or no?
Autry texts me. That's about as far as we've gotten at this point. When I came on my visit, we were going to go to dinner, and then, something came up, which I certainly understand in this industry. So, I've just had more discussions with Barkley, and I think a lot of him. He's terrific. I look forward to meeting Autry, and I had a number of other coaches reach out, just say congratulations, look forward to meeting you. No telephone calls or anything like that, but I explained to Jeff that it was really cool to see how many just took the time to reach out and say, we're glad you're a part of this. And I think that's part of, why you join this program, this university, because it is close knit. It's it's a family. We're all in this together. We all want to be supportive of one another. But I look forward to meeting Autry. I do. They did a wonderful piece on him. I was sent a video, I guess through productions, of an interview with him, and it was terrific. And so, in due time, I'll be able to get over there and speak with him and others.
If he asks you to work out, just warning you, it's probably a 4 a.m. CrossFit session. So do that at your own peril.
Got it. That's okay. I understand. I may not be doing the 4 a.m. CrossFit, but I understand getting up and waking up at 4 a.m. So, it's you wake up right now, your mind gets going, and it won't turn off until you go to bed at night. So, but that's kudos to him. That's good.
That was going to be my question. I was curious if you're going to challenge Autry for the Early Riser Award around campus. He's got the bar set pretty high for everybody, though.
Yeah. I don't. I think I'll just be myself, and I've got a wife that is pregnant right now. We'll have a new baby. There's a lot of things there that I am. I'm a husband first. And then I'm a father, and then I'm a coach. So I'm gonna take care of my family, and sometimes that means I got to sacrifice maybe some of my time to make sure that they're in good hands. And if that means that I got to work out during the day, I'm not going to take it personally that maybe a coach gets up earlier than me, because maybe I stay up later. So no, not interested in the challenge. I'll just be me.
I was going to say, I think that makes 3 of us, because I can promise you, I'm not willing to challenge Autry and getting up before him. That's not a good
No, definitely not.
It's no.
Has it been nice spending more time with your wife, despite everything that's going on, especially with her being pregnant? I know it's been nice for my wife and I to be able to spend more time. She's back to work now, but we had 6 weeks that during a time year, we wouldn't have 6 weeks together.
Yeah, it's been terrific. Really has. Mike Clement, who's assistant coach at Ole Miss, he has a 16-month-old, and so when this first started happening, and we were probably talking to each other around 1st of April, I made the comment to him that I said, Mike, you're getting a time with Cooper that I didn't get with Tanner, but I understand I'm getting a time with Tanner that maybe you won't, but I was just basically stressing to him that I don't remember much of that time, because we're on the road, we're in the season, and we're just rocking and rolling. But I'll remember this period. I'll remember it with Andrea. And Andrea worked up until the last couple of weeks. And then it was just to a point where she just couldn't do it. But, there's a lot of, heartache, sadness that has come with this pandemic. I believe there's a reason for it. I'm not saying I know the reason. I believe there is a reason for it. And maybe one of those is just maybe slowing us down a little bit and bringing us back to our families. And so I've enjoyed that. I have, sit down at the table and eat dinner. What? We do that? Yeah, you have time to do that. Mike Bianco at Ole Miss, he said it himself. He said this was the first time, I think, in about 20 years that the entire family sat down at dinner. And he had 5 kids, and of course his wife and his father. And so it really does put things in perspective. That's for sure. So I've enjoyed it, but we're coaches. We miss being out on the field. We miss being around our players. that part's, that part is missing, and you're anxious to get back and do that.
Yeah, we're all fortunate to do what we do. It's been nice to slow down, but we're ready to get back to doing what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's, we need it. Sports are good. They're not only good for the people that partake in them, but I just think they're good for entertainment as well. I mean, that's a part of life. There's a value that comes with it, and we miss it. It's why I saw somewhere, I guess I read online that the golf match between Tiger Woods and Manning and Brady and who else, and Mickelson was like one of the most watched live golf events ever. And that's just because people they just miss sports and miss live TV.
I certainly do. I can assure you, I'm a part of that. I mean, it's baseball season, and I certainly look forward to getting to finally actually meet you on campus and see you and the team out on the field in the spring.
Well, I look forward to it. I'm anxious to get there. I am. Try not to probably show it as much as I would like to, but because right now we just got to take it day by day. Really do. And, but, I look forward to seeing them face to face. I look forward to, our first team meeting and just going to work. And, work sounds bad, but that's just the way we phrase it. But really it's just getting in there and helping them develop day by day and get them excited and motivate them and teach them. And, then we'll get out there in the spring and we'll attack the spring as best we can and hope to look back at the end and go, wow, that was awesome. And that's what I want them to be able to do. I want them to be able to look back and go, that was terrific. I had a blast, and despite, and I'm sorry, we're not going to go 56-0. It's not going to happen. So, we might. So I need them to understand that, and that, hey, even though you may not win every game, you can look back and say, what a great experience. I'm so glad I was a part of it. And in the end, maybe we look back and go, we did something really, really special.
55-1, still on the table. That's what I'm hearing.
That's good. Yeah, I just said we weren't going to go 56-0. I didn't say, goodness gracious, if you hold me to that, that's going to be a tough one to abide by. But no, I do. I'm excited. I send them right now. They get a daily message from me at 10 o'clock every day. Just trying to give them perspective or motivation. And so there's a lot of things that are very well thought out, in hopes that, we touch them, not only mentally, but in their hearts as well.
One final question. What's your favorite food? I'm going to put together a list for when you're in town, best restaurants in Charleston. Just trying to get prepared. So what's your favorite kind of food?
Well, my wife and I really like Mexican. And so,
there's a place right down the street from campus, right? Perfect for you. I got you.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Mexican and then a good steak, that always seems to hit it home. But I hear there's a lot of different, different restaurants, different eateries that you can partake in. But it seems like Mexican is our go-to. And then when it's like, hey, I'm craving I guess, something a little bit different. It's, she likes a good steak. So, but I'm open to any suggestions. I really am. And I will take your list if you want to share it.
Absolutely. The first time we meet, if it's allowed, I'll give you a handshake, and then I'll give you a list and I'll walk away. That's all I'll do.
You got a Pittsburgh Penguins banner.
I do. Yes.
In your background.
Yes.
All right. So
I'm from Pittsburgh, so.
Okay. So I take it Mario Lemieux fan, or are we going a little bit?
Yeah.
Deeper than that? My dad played professional hockey, so that's why I'm.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge. I mean, he's the one that got me into it, and then Sid obviously just helped, further the growth of it. I actually proposed to my wife on top of the incline in Pittsburgh the day before Game 2. We went to Game 2, Sharks Penguins Stanley Cup final. So. All
right.
Yeah, no, I'm a big hockey fan, big Penguins fan. Lemieux and Jerome Bettis are the two guys, like 1 and 2 as far as sports idols for me. So, yeah.
Very cool. Good ones, and Crosby's a good one, that's for sure. He's a lot of fun to watch, and but yeah, I don't speak to too many people that have hockey banners hanging in their room, and
Oh,
so Kean, I can't tell what you have back there, but
this is my office man cave, the room in the
man
house.
cave.
Yeah, so Killian is a Capitals fan.
Capitals.
I know. It's like I get stuck working with a big Penguins fan. It's painful.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay. We, I guess in this household, we have a tendency, we follow three teams. We follow the Detroit Red Wings, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and then Denver University Pioneers. Those are our three that we follow. So we've got a little bit of knowledge there. I'm not a good skater. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm just not. He's a lot better than me, but he still plays today, and so he gets after it, and it's pretty cool to go out there and watch him play.
Well, if he ever gets into town and wants to talk hockey with some people, we'll be happy to have him in the office and chat.
Yeah.
He would love to. He'd love to. That'd be really cool. Really cool.
It's been 5 years since I put on the skates, but before everything shut down, I was looking to start playing again. So there's a rink down here. There's a place to play.
He would probably bring his skates and jump on the ice. Now if I went with him, I'd be hanging onto the boards. What's sad is my wife is actually a pretty good skater. I realized that after we went on we were out in California. So I have family in Idaho and California, and we were in California and wanted to go skating. So I take her to the rink, and I'm thinking, I'll be better than her on the ice. And no, I mean, she just starts scooting around. I'm like, well, this is a mistake. I mean, like, I'm just dripping sweat, trying to just get around the ice without falling. And she looks like a princess. So I just had to wear that one too. I just had to embrace it.
I like that. That's a good story. I love it. I keep trying to get my wife to go. She will not go skating with me. She's afraid, and she knows that I'm going to be better. Okay.
That's good. Well, I haven't been since.
You learned your lesson there.
Yeah,
I did, and it's sad. It really is, because we went out to Idaho to visit my dad, and she wanted to go skating, and so I was like, well, you can go with my dad. I'm not going. So they went and skated, and I just hung out. So go figure. But it is what it is. I guess I didn't embrace it enough. I just not good. Just not good.
Well, you found your path, and it brought you to
There's
Charleston.
a little behind the scenes.
And we're happy about that. So.
I appreciate it. So this is good. I appreciate you guys doing this. It's definitely different, but it just keeps things active and present. And again, it means a lot to me that you would invite me on, and appreciate what you guys do. This takes time. You're taking time out of your day, and it means a lot to me.
Absolutely, Coach. We can't wait to have you on campus and actually get to meet you in person.
Yeah, it'd be fun. I look forward to it.
All right, we appreciate it, Coach. That was new head baseball coach, Marc MacMillan. Thanks for coming on. That was the brand new head baseball coach, Marc MacMillan. It was great getting to talk to him, and great really getting to know him. And it was a good conversation. I'm really looking forward to actually getting to meet him face to face and sit down with him some more for the future.
Yeah, he seems like he's going to fit in really well. He's got a really good personality, and you want to win, but if the person's a jerk, you don't want to be around him, and that's not going to be the case. I'm going to really enjoy being around Coach Mac. I can tell.
Yeah, really is a great guy, and somebody you really like to stress the little things. I mean, that's something that he was really big on, and it's something that our next guest is also really big on. The transition. Athletic Director Jeff Barber. He's the next one coming up. Don't forget East Bay Deli, presenting sponsor of Buccaneer Insider. Appreciate everything they do. And now, on to Jeff Barber, Athletic Director. Welcome in. We now have the Director of Athletics for Charleston Southern University, Jeff Barber. And welcome in, Jeff. It's been a while since we've been able to see you, especially. I'm sure you've been working hard through all this.
Yeah, good to see you guys. Yeah, it's been pretty busy. I was just on a meeting, a Zoom a little while ago, and I told them I talked to someone in the conference office, and even some ADs in the league, and they say they've never been busier. So I really understand that. There's just been just a lot of moving parts, a lot of questions with not a lot of answers yet, but we're getting there, and it's going to be okay.
What have you? So you've been busy. Have you been able to spend much time at home, or have you just been kind of grinding away? Because I know you've got a lot going on your plate.
Yeah, truthfully, Nick, I've been here every day. I think since March 18th, I've taken 2 days off, and I didn't really take them off. I just stayed home and did things from the dining room table. But I just find that it's easier. I can get a lot more done if I'm here. So I've just been coming in every day and, come in 9, 10 o'clock in the morning and just be here until I go home. So it's been mighty quiet around here. I'm missing you folks and look forward to getting back to some normalcy soon.
Well, you mentioned March 18th. That's the day everything kind of shut down. What was going through your mind that day?
Man, a lot of question marks, Nick. It's like, really what's going on? And the truth is with the coronavirus, I think that once it's all said and done, you never know if you did too much. I guess maybe some people are talking about that now, but you'll know if you did too little. So, going into it, I just felt like we had to take some really drastic measures, obviously, as a country. I mean, as a department, but as a country to ensure that this thing was held to its minimum. And just a lot of curious, a lot of wide-eyed, just didn't really know what to expect. But hopefully things are getting better and the picture is getting clearer.
I know you've had a lot of meetings about this, and it's an ever-changing target. But if things were to start today, what does the short-term future of college athletics look like?
I think it depends on who you ask. I probably have a tendency to be more. I'm not sure what the best word to use is. I think that the short term. Obviously we got student athletes coming back in on June 1 for voluntary workouts in the weight room, the Buck Dome, and so I think we're just going to go through the screening processes and all the things, and there'll be a lot of tracking of the virus and making sure that it's not getting worse. And if it's not, I think we'll just continue to see a loosening up. This is just me and just my thoughts. I really see. I did tell some folks the other day. I felt like all you have to do to play football, name your stadium, either Walmart, Lowe's, or Home Depot, because it's obviously okay to put 1 million people in there. So if I think we do that, we'll be fine. But my personal opinion is I think at the minimum that this fall we'll have sports and there may be some social distancing going on or limiting the capacity in the stadium or something like that. And whether the masks come through or not, I don't know. But I think that'll be in my mind the worst case scenario that will happen.
I can tell you with that comment right there. I think you just made a lot of people very happy, made their day hearing that.
Yeah, well, again, that's my personal thought and just, my personal feelings. And there are other ADs that think it'll be totally normal, and then there's some that think we won't have it at all. So that's just kind of where I am right now with all the information I have.
You seem like you're nice and in the middle, which is really not a bad place to be.
Yeah, you always have to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. So, we'll be ready either way, no matter what happens. And when the hammer falls or the judgment falls down on what it's going to look like, we'll be ready for that. And I'm just hoping for the best.
Well, I know that we're certainly hoping for the best too. I mean, because without sports, I know Nick and I are we're kind of like chickens with our heads cut off. I can tell you that much. But hey, we'll get into it, and kind of this week's theme, I guess, is really baseball, and I think for good reason. The school announced just a couple weeks ago that Marc MacMillan hired on as the baseball program's 11th head coach. Kind of walk us through and walk the fans through a little bit about him.
Well, comes very, very highly recommended, very well thought of in the baseball world, in the baseball circles, and really from some of the leading college coaches in the country, Tim Corbin, Mike Bianco, even Cliff Godwin and others. Just none of them could really just stop talking about what a great person he is, what his organization, his communication, his love for the kids, love for the game, love for his family, love for God. And so, when I started the search, I didn't know what was going to happen. Obviously, George was the interim, and George is a really good baseball coach, and And so, once we went through the process, I just really felt like George was right there, but I just felt like we needed some experience from maybe a higher level, if that makes sense. I was talking to Scott Iceberg the other day, and I was like, I typically like to hire when I can. I tend to go, and right or wrong or indifferent, I tend to go and try to find people if possible. And it doesn't always mean they're the best choice, and it doesn't mean I always make the right choice. There's never been an AD that's done that, or a general manager of an NFL team. Always seeing people getting fired. And so you do your best with all the information you have. But what I was really intrigued by with Mac, I call him Mac because I think he wants to go by Coach Mac. But the fact that he had been at the grassroots level, he's grown up in the game, he's paid his dues. He's not a guy that just got out of the major leagues and then landed an assistant job at a Power 5 school. He worked at the high school level, he worked at the small college level, even to the fact that the program got canceled like a week or two before the season started. And then he went to Arkansas Monticello Division II, went to Arkansas Pine Bluff, which is a SWAC, and really paid his dues and worked his rear end off in recruiting, coaching, and building his resume, if you will, his portfolio. He has to go to Ole Miss and do it for 6-7 years, I guess now. There at Ole Miss, and have done it again, the grassroots level, and moving up from there. So the last 4 or 5 years, he's been a volunteer coach, and I think that's given some people some pause. But at the SEC level, those guys get really involved in all the coaches' meetings. They're on the field, they're coaching. He did outfielders, bunting, base running, coached first base. I mean, he was in the dugout standing beside Mike Bianco and just gathered a lot of really high-level information. Ole Miss, as you guys both know, is a really strong baseball program, and it was voted by 247 Sports, or 24/7, however you say it, to be one of the top 25 elite baseball programs over the last decade. So Mac was part of that for 7 years. I really was impressed with him, with his desire to have speak meaning into the life of our team and to be a relational coach. And he talked about his wife and children being at all the time. And just becoming a family. And so, when it came down to it, I just felt like he would be the best person.
So was there any sort of a prior relationship between the two of you, or was it one of these situations where as the search went on, that's when you finally, met him and got to know him?
No, I did not know Mac. In fact, the way his name came to me as I was talking with Aaron Fitt, you guys probably know Aaron Fitt, who writes for D1 Baseball, and he's a baseball writer. And I talked with him because I had 6 people on my list that I was talking to, and I wanted to get his thoughts. And so we went through it, and I was really encouraged, if you don't mind me saying this, I was really encouraged because he said, Jeff, you got some really strong candidates. And George was one of those 6, obviously. And he said, you got some really strong, really good candidates on that list. I don't know how you could go wrong with any of them. And then he said, and I mentioned to him, I said, Matt, excuse me, Aaron, do you know anybody out there that you think would be a good fit at Charleston Southern from the faith piece and everything else? He said, yeah, I know a couple guys that have been resonating with me, and Mac was one, and another one's a guy that has been coaching in the SEC as well. So I really expanded my 6 to those 2, and then it went where it went. But I did not know Mac before, and appreciate Aaron Fitt and his his opening up. See, when you hire people, I think I've always operated under the premise that you do one of 3 things. You look inside the program, and this not just be a coach, it could be for an SID or anything. So you look inside the program first and see if there's anybody is the best candidate inside. And secondly, you have a list of people that you go after, and those are the 6, and those are things that I picked up over from names from some people and other things. And then the third thing is who comes to you, how you get the name. Like, for example, Autry Denson was not on my list when we started. I get a phone call from a buddy at Purdue, said you need to talk to Autry, and the next day Coach Holtz texted me and said, would you talk to him? I can't say that as Notre Dame was 2 weeks away from playing Clemson in the first round, I guess, of the college football playoff, that I would have gone, hey, Autry Denson's the guy. I didn't know much about Autry. I didn't know who he was much more than just played at Notre Dame. And so sometimes it works that way, and that's okay. It doesn't matter how it comes to you. It just matters getting what you think is the best person for the job.
When you finally got down to brass tacks and talked to Coach Mac, what really stood out for you?
Communication to me is the key to life in many aspects. Whether you're married, you have a girlfriend, your job, communication is super important. I don't think you can ever overestimate how important communication is. Nick, to be honest with you, I was really impressed with his communication during the time that we dealt together. Sometimes you'll reach out to coaches and you don't hear from them for 2 days, and you're like, you're trying to get a job and yet you don't respond. You're like, I'm not sure I get that. But more than that, more importantly than that, was the fact of how he talked about communication with the team and how much that was important to him. And that really stood out. Another thing that really stood out is I believe he'll be a guy that's really going to care about the lives of those young men. You guys have probably heard me say before, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I know that Mac is going to care about the guys on this team. He's going to care about them as young men and people in their spiritual walk, in their baseball walk, in their academic walk. He's truly going to invest in their lives and truly, truly care. He sent me a couple of text messages he got from players, even a baseball manager at Ole Miss, guys that played for him, worked for him. And he just said, I thought you'd like to see this. And I had asked him, if you ever get something, I'd like to see it. And just the way that they communicated to him about what he meant in their lives. So when the captain of the Ole Miss baseball team says, I could not have ever gotten here without you. Thank you for caring about me. Thank you for investing in me. Thank you. I'm going to really miss you. And when you have a manager of the baseball team say, Coach Mac, thank you so much for everything you did for me while you're here. There's that old saying that the mark of a true character is somebody is what they can do for people that can't do anything for them, how they're treated. So he must have treated his baseball manager really, really well. And when I see things like that, Nick, to be honest with you, I'm like, you know what? If he's going to care for the manager, then he's going to care for his team. He's going to care for the sports information staff. He's going to care for the academic staff, the team, the managers and everything. So, you just wrapped it all up. There were just no weak spots.
When it comes to kind of a little bit of the on-field stuff, you're going with a guy he's been there at the SEC level at Ole Miss. You mentioned just how one of the top 25 programs over the last decade. I mean, they've College World Series appearances and just pretty much every accolade that you could look at, and that program has been built up to. What kind of a hire and, what does that bring to the table for you coming from that high level?
Mm-hmm. Well, again, it kind of goes back, Killian, to what I said a little while ago, that they've seen what a dugout's supposed to look like. They know what hard work looks like. They know the recruiting. They know what good player. They've seen it. They've experienced it. But one thing I think gets lost in the shuffle, and this is true of any sport, if you get the right head coach, then you're going to win, and you're going to be. But the truth is, if Mac hired me as his pitching coach, and he hired Killian, you as the hitting coach, we may not pitch and hit too good, and he wouldn't have a good resume, would he? So people fail to look at the staff that coaches put around them and how important that is. And so a head coach is a CEO, and he's just one person. He needs to if he's a real outgoing person, he needs to bring in somebody that counteracts that. If he's really good in one area, and not so good in another, he needs to bring in an assistant coach that has some strengths that aren't his strengths. That's okay. I try to do that myself. The old saying that if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And so, I like putting smart people. I like having Lisa Gilmore here to do compliance. I'm not good at that stuff. I love having Courtney and Betty and Brad and Seth do what they do, and you guys do what you do. I don't want to know how you do. I've got a big job and a big responsibility, but you can't do it all yourself. So Matt can't do it all himself. Barkley can't do it all himself. Fred Applin can't do it all himself. Nobody can. So the other piece of that people don't realize, you bring somebody in with that experience. Well, they have contacts. They have contacts at a very high level. So when it's time for Mac to go find a pitching coach, for him to go find a hitting coach, for him to go find the team of coaches that he's going to be around, because he's been at that level and done it at high level and knows the Tim Corbins of this world and Mike Frederico's and whoever else you want to call or say, he can reach out to those guys and they go, look, we know a stud that's over here at this particular school that's really, really good. And so it really just kind of broadens the potential of how good a program can be. So I really like that part of it. Again, that's something people don't think about too much. It's all like, oh, he coached there, so we're going to be good. Well, they're going to be good if he brings in good assistants and they do the job well. It takes everybody working together, just like you guys. If Seth, as the associate AD over media relations, didn't have a good Nick Case or a good Killian, whatever, then he's not going to be as good. Y'all make him look good, right? And,
yeah. No, it's all us. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what a coach has to have. So I like, again, the fact that Mac has done it at a high level. He's been around high-level coaches, and they know a lot of high-level coaches and guys that are ready to be full-time assistants or whatever it's going to be. So that's just kind of it's not an unintended consequence, but it's a piece of the fabric that I don't think a lot of people really think about too much.
In watching his press conference, there was one word he said that really impressed me, and he did not shy away from it, and that was Omaha. I like that. That's where the bar is already.
Of course. We talked about that during the interview process. I said, I've got to hire somebody that understands who we are as an institution, the faith, and what that means to us and how we operate under that. I hate to say umbrella. That sounds a little cheesy, but under that culture. And then we also, we're a Big South team, but that doesn't keep us from wanting to win and get to Omaha. And there have been teams that, whether it's Stony Brook or Citadel or whoever else, that have gotten to Omaha before. And, we're here to put the right pieces in place so that we can get there as well.
And not to compare us to them, but we've been in the Big South long enough to remember Coastal Carolina winning it all. So it can be done.
Can be done. Can be done. And this is how fine the line is. I was at another school as the AD playing Coastal for the Big South Championship. The winner goes to the NCAA tournament. It was the ninth inning. I can't remember if it was the top or the bottom. I think it was the top. Like man on second and third, 1 out. And we had a right-hand hitted shortstop that hit a frozen rope, a bullet down the right field line, just inside first base. The Coastal Carolina guy fully extended all the way out, caught the ball, and doubled up a guy. Game's over. Well, in baseball, that's baseball, right? Game of inches, as we've all heard. That ball's another foot higher. Liberty probably wins that game. And now instead of a 1 seed, maybe Coastal's a 2, and it's a different one, and blah, blah, blah. So, again, my point is you don't have to be a top 5 team to get to Omaha. You have to have good players, and sometimes you have to have a little bit of luck. And you're right, Coastal was good that year and deserved to win that thing. But, again, they came really close to not even being the Big South champion that year, even as the national champion.
It's very true. A game of inches. Got kind of one more for it, and it's a little bit more of an interesting question. And when it comes to college athletics and hiring coaches, the process is, especially nowadays, it's a little secretive. A lot of stuff going on behind closed doors. The fans don't really know what happens. But could you give us a little bit of kind of a sneak peek what you go through when you're hiring a coach for an athletic program?
Yeah, first of all, I'll say this. I got Scott Eisberg asked the other night, about, do you believe in search firms? And I think there's a value in them. I don't do much, and you have to be able to afford them too. But, the thing that they help you do is to keep things quiet. I've always liked to keep searches quiet for really 2 reasons, because it can really get way out of hand. Look at defense coordinator from Ohio State, John Curry at Tennessee, and I can't remember, he coached at Penn State, that whole story. And I'm not saying that would have happened, but, things can get really squirrely. But the other part of it is coaches don't like their names to be floating around. So if it's Joe Bag of Donuts and he's coming in to be your football coach and he's interviewing and other people know about that, then his players on his team, wherever he is, the people they're recruiting and all that, well, you don't have, this guy's not committed to the program. he's trying to get another job, and it creates a lot of angst, unnecessary angst. There's only going to be one person to get the job, and there's no need to have 8 different institutions dealing with the fact that one of their coaches is interviewing somewhere, because it just sounds like, in this business, as we know, it's kind of who we are, what we do, right? Everybody's always trying to get the BBD, as what I call the bigger, better deal. It's not always the bigger, better deal. It may sound like it. Sometimes you think you're having a good day and get this big job, and then one day you look back and realize that wasn't a good day, it was a bad day, or vice versa. So, just the secretive part of it, Killian, I just think it's important. It's important to protect the team of where the person is, and family, and all kinds of things. So what my process is when people apply, and I got a lot of emails about the job, and we have an online application process, and the first thing I do is read their faith statement. If it's somebody that I feel like is in alignment with what CSU believes, then and I'm no judge of people and people's hearts. Believe me, it's a hard thing. It's a hard call to make sometimes. But I have to figure out or look at that and say, okay, who are the people that I really think would be a good fit here and like it here and endorse and all that, embrace who we are. And then I'll look at the resume. I don't look at the resume first and then determine that. I start with that piece. It's questions 5, 6, and 7, excuse me, on the online process, application process. And then I look at the resume. And again, based on those facts, I will come up with a list, if you will. I had 10 people in football, and I had 8 in baseball, and I did either a FaceTime or a Skype or a Zoom with each one of them. There's just something about going face to face. It's not as good as sitting across the table from somebody. It's not the same, not as good, but it's better than just a phone call. And so what I'll do is I'll take the top 2, 8, whatever it is, and I like to go ahead and Skype with them. And if I had my druthers, I'd go to their house. I think I'm the only AD in the country that has done that or does that. And if I can, I would. I like to go into their house. So ideally, I would have liked to have flown into Memphis and driven down to Oxford and gone into Mac's house with his wife and his son Tanner, who's 18 months old. His wife's due June 8th. And I'd like to sit around the living room with him for 3 hours. And I'd like to throw a ball to Tanner. And I'd like to help his wife. Maybe, she might bring out some snacks and clear the table off and just get to know them in that kind of setting. Wasn't able to do that here. Haven't been able to do that here. But once I Skype with them, again, it's not an exact science. I remember several years ago, this is a crazy story. There were 6 NFL teams that hired a new coach. 2 years later, there were only 2 left. 4 had already been fired. And I remember thinking about that, thinking, these guys are NFL executives. The general manager of an NFL team has got 50 years experience, whatever. He's sitting in a room of 5, 10, 15 guys, and they've all got great NFL experience. And only 2 out of 6 coaches were there 2 years later. So again, when I see people on a Skype or a FaceTime or whatever, I get a feeling for them. Do they look you in the eye? Do the best they can, of course. Just what kind of feeling do they have? I remember I talked a lot with Ray Tanner during this process. Ray is a good friend, and he was talking about people. He said, what, it gets down, you just have to go with your gut sometimes and what your gut tell you. I like to say, pay attention to the tension. And so, when you get with people and you Skype, then you go through that process. Now, 1 really stood out, 2 really stood out, 3 really stood out, whatever it is, and then you bring them to campus, because I think that's the final deal. Because when people come to campus, I feel like they've got everything in the world that we would want. And now I just want to see what it feels like to be around them. And that's why when we do interview with head coaches, I do the entire day with everybody. So I'll sit around the table when Seth is talking to them and asking questions, when Brad Drake is, when Betty Palmer is. It doesn't matter, because I'm just trying to get a feeling for, do they fit with our people and do our people fit with them? It's a 2-way street. And so that's the process, again, just to go through and start eliminating, and then finally Skype or FaceTime, and then get them to campus and see what happens. Doesn't always work out, but meaning I've had people to campus, and once, back here, my other places, other school as well, and they come and they decide not to take the job. That's part of it too. But that's really the process I like to use.
Really appreciate it. As I said, I think it's It's very interesting for a lot of people that don't really have the opportunity to be in your shoes and kind of in that situation to get a little bit of an idea of what goes down behind closed doors.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a work in progress. I will tell you this, that when we interviewed for the football coach, I guess I'm a little slow and a slow learner. I looked it up, I thought the other day, and I think I've hired in my career about 23, 24 head coaches combined. It took up till about 20 to figure out that the best thing to do is when we start an interview process on campus, there are a number of people during the day that they will have time with. I get all those people into a room with the candidate at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I go through and ask all the questions that everybody wants to ask them. Hey, where are you from? How come CSU? Are you married? Where's this thing? And so I like to take care of the general questions, because I remember sitting with Autry and I was like, man, everybody, for about 10 minutes, everybody would ask the very same questions. So, and it's normal. I mean, it's good questions, but I try to eliminate all that. So it really takes a lot of redundancy out for the candidate more than anything. But again, so work in progress and learning things all the time. Every time you hire somebody, you pick up something here or there. So
you're learning and saving your best for CSU. That's what that means.
That's it. Doing my best.
I'm on my end. That's it. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us. This was great. It's good to see you.
Awesome. Yeah, good to see you guys. Thank you so much. Anytime.
I hope you like the polo I wore for today, just for you.
Love it, man. Love it. Looks great.
I appreciate it. That's the athletic director, Jeff Barber. Thanks for joining us, Jeff.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
That was the athletic director, Jeff Barber. Always great getting to talk to Jeff. And you mentioned the start. It was pretty rosy picture that he's painting so far for the future of sports. And I got to say, I like what he had to say. Obviously, it's just his opinion, but as a sports fan, I didn't mind it.
Yeah, and I feel like watching sports shows and listening to Dan Patrick or whoever talk, I feel like this is kind of the growing consensus is, there are some outliers either way, as Jeff said, but I feel like this is the growing consensus is it will happen. There will be distancing, but it will happen. And I think that's great.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is everybody, of course, everybody does want sports back and want it to happen, but they want to make sure that they're doing it in the right way and at the right time and just making sure that everybody's safe. So, well, we appreciate everybody for checking this out. Week number 6 of Buccaneer Insider. Thank you for joining us once again. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday or whatever day you might be taking this in on. And we'll be right back here next week for my partner, Nicholas Case. My name's Killian McClatchy. We'll see y'all next time.